Hi, everybody. Welcome. The first thing I want to say it from my heart, because a lot of people just seem to say it, but I really mean it. I mean, there's so many different things that you could be doing right now in your life. But you chose to be here at this webinar so that you can invest in yourself, so that you can learn about this business, so that you can ultimately own your life, which, by our definition is time, money, and health at a time in your life, you can enjoy it with the people that you love the most and do it in the next 2 to 5 years. What if it takes 7, right? So what? All right. So, the fact that you took the time to be here today tells me so much about who you are. Because that's not easy. Life is a juggling match. There's all kinds of different priorities. So I want to thank you very much. And I want to make you this promise that I don't have all the answers, but I've been around for close to 30 years. I've built some very successful businesses, and I've hung around with a lot of people who have been extremely successful in this business. And what I'm going to teach you today, it's just one aspect of what you need to learn, but it's a critical aspect. And if you learn it, there's no way you're not going to succeed in network marketing. You will succeed. It's just a matter of time. So the investment in your life that you're spending today with our little hour together here is going to pay huge dividends for you. You can take that to the bank. Okay, so this isn't stuff that we just pulled out of the air and theory and that we hope works. It works, and it works every single time as long as you stay consistent. That's the overlying key to everything. I mean, it doesn't matter what you're taught. If you don't stick with it, you're not going to make it. So if you stay consistent with what we're teaching you, you're going to have a great life from a business standpoint in network marketing. And we'll be here to help you every step of the way. So having said that, we're doing a series of webinars on what I call the half dozen things that make 95% of all the difference as far as being successful in network marketing. And the first 3 things, okay, and I'm just going to touch on these so that when we get to the main topic today, you kind of have a little bit of background just in case you weren't on any of the previous webinars or didn't see any of the recordings, okay? The first 3 most important things, or the first 3 of the half dozen most important things, are actually contained in the definition of the system, the Own Your Life system. So that would be a good place to start off, right? Any webinar or seminar that I do, I like to let people know about how we do the business, because this business is so misunderstood. I mean, literally, there's not 1 in 50,000 people in network marketing who are even making money that truly understand it. I want you to think about that for a second. So you guys have a huge advantage here, because what I'm teaching you today comes from the best of the best of the best of people that did it. I did it. The people that I learned this stuff originally did it. I mean, this is the real deal here. And not 1 in 50,000 in this industry knows it. I mean, think about that. So you're at a tremendous advantage here by learning it. So I suggest that you take notes, because this stuff is going to come back and put a lot of money in your bank account if you utilize it. Okay, so let's look at the definition of the Own Your Life system. It's very simple. Okay, we talk to people about what they want. Okay, and if they want something, all right, we have them read the first 5 chapters of Don's book called Own Your Life, so that they understand the business. Don coined that a long time ago, 45 years ago or whatever, knowing how to drive. All right. And if you know how to drive, you need a vehicle to drive. So the third step of the system is you send them some company information, maybe to your website, a video, whatever's appropriate for your particular company. And since this is a generic meeting webinar with people from all different companies, the third step, although it's very, very important, they have to learn about your business, your particular company. Once they go through the first 2 steps, it almost doesn't matter what your what company you're with. I mean, because there's the first 3 steps, right? We talked to them about what they want. So they got to have some desire, right? Without desire, you're wasting, their time and your time. So you want to find that right up front. And that's why it's the first step in the system, all right? If you don't understand what the business is, I mean, imagine a heart surgeon operating on you who didn't understand heart surgery. I don't think there would be a good outcome there. Same thing in network marketing. You have to understand it before you actually get involved in it, right? It's just common sense. But if it's so much common sense, why doesn't most people do it? Most people don't have them read the first 5 chapters of Don's book before they get into their company. They tell them about their products and their services and how much money can they make and the compensation plan and all these different things, when these people don't even understand network marketing. And when you start with the 3rd step, all right, the vehicle, what are most people going to see? You have products, you have services, all those things. They think that what? You're trying to sell them something, or that you are trying to get them to sell something. And it's critical. Watch closely here, listen closely here. You always have to remember how people think, okay? 95% of the people in the world, okay, want nothing to do with traditional selling, persuading and convincing. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with sales. Sales is a very noble profession, okay? I mean, if you're married, you sold your wife or your husband on marrying you, right? Like there's sales involved in everything in life, okay? However, if you treat network marketing like traditional sales, okay, what happens is, since 95% of the people are out there going like, that's not me, I can't, you can do it, but I can't, you're going to alienate 95% of your market. And our market is not people who want to go out and sell products and services, okay? What is our market? We're looking for people who what? Want a better what? Life. Who want to own their life, okay? That's who we're looking for. And then once we find them, we just give them a little simple system where they basically don't even have to talk to be able to build a business that can allow them to own their life. So what have we achieved here, okay, with the system? Well, it's very simple. Instead of alienating, driving away 95% of the market because they don't think they can sell, because that's what almost everybody thinks network marketing is. They think it's sales, and it's not their fault. They've never been taught any different, right? So you can't blame them. You just have to educate them, right? So instead of driving away the 95% of people in the world, what are we doing? We're bringing them into the fold. We're showing them something that they can do. And since almost everybody, I mean, practically 100% of the world, Don likes to say 95% of the people in the world, they'd love to own their life, have more time, money, and health. The other 5%, they already own their life, right? They want to live forever, they want to have a good time in their life. So they make great customers. So you see, when we do it our way, see if they have some desire, educate them in network marketing before they see the vehicle, and then they see the vehicle, what happens is you practically have 100% of the people in the world to introduce your business to. Now, what would you rather have? 5%? Because if you think it's sales, right, and that's what most people do, they're tripping over themselves trying to sign up salespeople in their business, all right, because they think salespeople are going to what? Get them rich, all right? What they don't realize is that salespeople are the least likely to do well in network marketing. Why? Because they sell. That's it. They sell. And 95% of the people are like, oh, I can't do that. You might sell some product, and that's fine. But that person probably won't do the business because they don't think they can do it. And even if they try to do the business, they'll usually fail because they don't understand it's not about selling. It's about finding some people who want to own their life, time, money, and health, and then helping them duplicate a simple little system that an 8-year-old could teach another 8-year-old. Okay, so by using the system, you turn everything around and you stack the deck in your favor. So again, review of the first 3 things of the half dozen things that make a difference. All right, we talk to people about what they want. That's desire, number 1. If they want something, we make sure they go through the first 5 chapters of the book so they understand the business. We call that knowing how to drive. And if you know how to drive, you need a vehicle to drive. You show them some information about your company, product, and marketing plan. And if you're doing more than that, folks, all right, you're doing too much. You're talking too much, because the more you talk or the more you do, all right, before they get into your business, the more they think they can't do what you're doing. Okay. And the more you talk, the more they think they don't have time to do what you're doing. Okay, which is the #1 excuse that people use for not joining your network marketing business. Time is the #1. So before someone gets into the business, okay, you want to take as little of their time as possible. And that's what we're doing with the system. Okay. Now, remember the first part of the system where I said you talk to people about what they want. And that's fine. You can have a little conversation, you know, ask them have they ever thought what it'd be like if they could own their life, you know, time, money, and health, and let them talk. Don likes to do it that way. I do it that way sometime. Another way, if you're someone who doesn't mind having a little conversation, another way to do it, and this is a good one, you want to write this down. This is my favorite way. If I get in a conversation, I'll ask them, I'll say, you know, Robert, if time, money, and health wasn't a problem for you. In other words, if you had plenty of all three, you know, what would your life look like compared to what it does right now? And just let them talk. And the more that they talk, all right, the better prospect you have. Now, so if you do want to have a little conversation to see if they want something, keep it short and let them talk. And then, you know, maybe they'll say, well, that's a good question, you know, and they'll say, it would be a lot different. I probably wouldn't work. I'd spend more time with my kids or my grandkids, or I'd buy that, you know, cabin that I've always wanted, or whatever. People want all kinds of things. Let them talk. And when they're done talking, you don't really have to say anything more. Think about that question for a second. I want to focus on that question, okay? If time, money, and health weren't a problem for you, in other words, if you had plenty of all three, all right, what would your life look like? Now, if you think about that, all right, if they give you some answers to that question, what are they telling you actually? What are they saying to you? They're telling you their goals, right? They're telling you what they want. So you don't really have to talk. You just let them talk, find out if they want something. And then when they're done talking, just simply say something like this. If you could see a way to have those things, would you be open to checking out some brief information? Simple as that, okay? So again, in the first part of the definition of the system, we talk to people about what they want. That's how you do it. Very simple. Ask a question, listen, and then ask them if they want to take a look, if they want something. If you're shy, or if for some reason you can't talk, maybe you can't talk. There's people that can't talk, right? I know some who've built huge organizations who are deaf and dumb. So maybe that's the case, you know? Well, we have a card. Here's my card. We have a lifestyle card that you can get. And all you have to do is ask them to read it. It takes them 30 seconds to read it. If you say it out loud, it's 45 seconds. That's why it's called the 45-second presentation. That'll change your life. And when someone reads this card, okay, it says, you know, this is what we think it means to own your life. When you subtract out the sleeping time, the working time, the commuting time, all the things you have to do each and every day, most people only have a couple hours a day to do what they want. And then do they have the money to be able to do it? We've discovered a way where anybody can learn how to own their life, right? And we have a system to do it that's so simple. Anybody can do it. Doesn't require selling of any sort. Best part, won't take much of your time. Think about the power of that right there. If someone reads that card and doesn't want to learn anything else, you don't have a prospect, folks, because that's our market. That's who we're looking for. Okay. And they either want something or they don't, or they're somewhere in the middle. And here's the great part, and this will ease your mind in this business, okay? It doesn't matter which one it is. I mean, when you understand this business, which is the second part, right, of the system, if they want something, we make sure they understand it by reading the first 5 chapters of the book, okay? Once they understand the system, okay, Anybody can do it. All we do is we do this, we do that, and then we send them to our company website. Folks, who couldn't do that if they wanted to? So all we're looking is for people who want to do it. Now, whether they'll do it or not, it's one thing to want something, right? It's another thing to actually do it. That's part of like what you're learning today, when we get to the main subject here. We talked the last Zoom, we talked about selecting the right kinds of people. Today we're talking about once you get those people, because it doesn't matter if you select them right, if you don't know what to do with them once they get involved. And that's what we're going to talk about in a minute, okay? But I think it's so important, all right, to understand the psychology of the system, okay? And when they go through this book, what are they understanding here? Well, they realize it's an 80-year, and in the updated book, it's even going to be better because a lot more of these questions are answered in people's mind in detail in the updated book, okay? They understand it's an 80-year plus business. It's 20 times larger than the National Football League. The tax advantages are enormous. They can actually fund their business even if they don't have any money because of the tax advantages many times. That they have to have patience. It's not a get rich quick scheme. If you do it right, you got to build everything about it for a smart person, a sharp person who's motivated to own their life. When they read this book, if the timing is right, they're going to get involved in your business. It's as simple as that. And if it's not, they're not going to get involved in your business. And that doesn't matter either, because if they're the right kinds of people, okay, because we're very selective, we'll talk a little bit about that in a minute, then you just stay in touch with them. Look, I see William on here. William and I got started, I don't know, what was it, William, 6 months ago, something like that? Yep. That's okay. You don't have to talk, William. About 6 months ago, okay? We got started, some things, and this happens in life. Some things happened in his life where he had to take a slight detour. He's the right kind of person. Great guy, lovely guy, okay? But some things happened. He had to take a little detour, put some things on hold for a while. But guess what? I didn't forget about him. Did I forget about you, William? Did you get it? Did I get into just because William wasn't ready to start building the business? He was the right kind of human being. Okay, we'll talk about that in a second, a little bit more, but you don't just like forget about those people. Has there ever been a timing, like you're here today, right? Because the timing is probably right in your life to do the business. But has there ever been a time in your lives here where it wasn't the right time to do the business, even if you wanted to?
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course. So if you're getting the right people in the first place by being selective, you don't have to worry about those detours like William took a little bit. He's back today. He just texted me before this Zoom and he said, hey, things have gotten back in place for me. I'm ready to start doing this again. And I said, hey, we're doing a Zoom today, hop on. But in the meantime, I didn't forget about him. And he brought his sister in the beginning of the business. And I have stayed in touch with her. I haven't bugged them. I haven't like, where are you? All that kind of stuff. It's like, remember, you can't persuade and convince people to be ready to do the business. You just find the right people and you work with them if they're ready to go. And if they're not, you stay in touch with them periodically. And you only need, now think about that. Take that to the bank right there. Like if you're picking the right people and you're staying in touch with them, all right? So when the timing is right for them, not for you, but when the timing is right for them, you only need about 5 serious people like that to build anything you want in network marketing. How can you not find them? If you're picking the right ones, you're staying in touch, you're being nice to them, you're not bugging them, you're treating them with dignity and respect. Guess what, folks? You're going to find your 5 or 7 or 10, whatever it is, whatever you want. That's for another day. But in most companies, you need anywhere between 2 and 5 to build anything you want, depending upon your compensation plan. Okay. That's why you can't fail, folks. That's why it's impossible if you do these things that we're teaching you and you have patience, because this doesn't happen overnight. I mean, William, 6 months ago, 8 months ago, whatever it was. But that doesn't matter, because once you get the right people and at the right time, they can just take off with your help. Okay. All right. So those are the first 3 things, right? Desire, understanding network marketing generically, and then seeing your vehicle. Okay. But And if that's all you learned was the system, and you just like maybe one person a day you introduced the business to, and you just kind of let whoever, who was right to come in your business join you, you'd still be successful if you stuck with it long enough. But in order to maximize the effectiveness and the efficiency of the system, there's three other things that make up the half dozen things. They were the first three to make up the half dozen thing. There's three other things that are so important. I mentioned two of them already. Selecting the right people. We're not going to talk about that today, all right? And what we're going to talk about today is, and once you get those people, how to get them started quickly and efficiently. And then the last thing is, once you get them started quickly and efficiently, working in depth. Napkin presentation number 9, okay? Now I said a half dozen things that make 95% of all the difference. Is there one that's more important than any of the others? Maybe, but I really don't think so. You can't leave any of them out. They got to have desire. They got to understand the business before they get in, or they're going to be like the heart surgeon who doesn't understand heart surgery before they operate on you. They have all these crazy ideas in their head. They think it's sales and all these things. You're alienating the world. You don't want to do that. So you have to make sure that they understand it before they see your vehicle, or you're putting yourself in an extreme disadvantage. Can it ever work if you skip step 2? Maybe. Yeah, it can. But chances are it won't. So don't skip to number 2. Then, of course, they got to see your vehicle. That makes sense, right? They got to see what company you're in, see if it's a fit. Most of the time it is. Most of the time, the third step is just like, because people aren't out there looking for like, oh, I want to get into an electricity company or a nutritional company or, whatever. There's all kinds of different companies in network marketing. They get into business that you guys and gals introduce them to. So the third step is just showing them the appropriate information, and they just get in if the timing is right. That's all there is to it. Okay. All right. Okay. So let's talk about today's topic a little bit. All right. There's probably not 1 in 50,000 people who understand what I'm telling you right here. I told you that before, but that's so important. It puts you at a huge advantage. And that's why you want to make sure that you ask people to get on these Zoom calls or have them watch the recording as you're bringing them into your team, because they need to understand this stuff or your business is going to stop growing. Okay. All right. So how do we do that? What's the first thing when I sign up someone in my business or they join my business? What's the first thing that I do and what you should do? Here's what it is. You tell them not to make a move without you. Don't talk to your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister. If you let your new person talk to who they want to, okay, without you guiding them every step of the way, in almost 30 years of doing this business, I can almost assure you that they're going to screw it up. I don't care if they've read the first 5 chapters. I don't care if they've read the book 3 times. All right. They're still new. Okay. And they're probably not in their excitement and their exuberance to get started and their dreams. They've read the book. They see all this potential. They're probably going to either talk too much or say too much. They're going to do something wrong. And as soon as they come across like their friend or their brother or sister, they come across in a way that their friend can't, like, they go, that's a little, I think that's sales. That sounds kind of salesy to me. This person gets scared. And if they reject your brand new team member, there's a chance that your new team member might end up quitting. If they get rejected 2 or 3 times, all right, you can almost be assuredly that 90% of those people are not going to be in the business next week. So don't let them make a move without you. Think of a surgeon. I'll go back to that thing. All right. A surgeon, what? You go to medical school, undergrad, medical school, you do your residency, you do all those years of studying and working with it. And then they get out in the world and they start doing surgery, and they still team up with experienced surgeons in the beginning. Okay. Because they're still new. It's one thing learning all this stuff. It's another thing actually applying it. Don't take a chance of messing with your new distributor up front. Make sure that you're working with your sponsor or someone in your upline who knows what to do. So the best thing you can do is say, don't talk to anybody. Don't make a move without me. All right. Second thing. All right. I want to make sure I don't skip anything before I move on to the next point here. If you people, the average person, if you did a Google search, okay, and you said, how many people does the average person know? It would come up to about 600 people. I don't know how they got that number, but that's what they come up to. But there's some people that know, 300 people. There's other people that know 3,000 people, okay? Now, in network marketing, in most companies, when you get in, what did they tell you to do first? Like make a gigantic list and then, approach all those people to see if they're interested. That's about the worst thing you could possibly do, because as soon as you do that, people were thinking this is like sales, and it scares them. 95% want nothing to do with sales, okay? So but you need people to talk to introduce your business to in the beginning. So how do you work around that if you don't make a gigantic list? Well, you make a short list. That's what you do, a short list, and you try to get on that short list the right people, okay? All right, now, so what I do is I send the new person a homework assignment, all right? And the homework assignment is designed to take those 300 or 600 or 3,000 people that they know and narrow them down to about the 10 best people. Okay. Now, what do I mean by best? I don't mean like, they're not all lovely people that they know. I don't mean that. I mean the best for this particular business. And that's what we talked in the last seminar about selecting the right people. I'll just real quickly go over those attributes. Okay. You want to be selective. Okay. You're looking for people with a good track record. All right. That means that whatever they've done well in. I don't care if they are a doctor, if they're a janitor, an engineer, a carpenter, if whatever they're involved in their life, they're a stay-at-home mom, stay-at-home dad, you look at that person and you go, you know what? They're a successful person. They do things right. They work hard. They're good people. They're the kind of people that I would like to work. They have a track record of success in whatever they're doing. So that's the number one criteria. Equally as important as that is warm, open, and easy to talk to, people who are nice. And that stands alone. I don't have to talk too much about that. The next thing that you're looking for is people who are coachable and can take some direction. Some people aren't. I wasn't in my early stages of the business, okay? After I banged my head against the wall for a while, I became coachable because I didn't want to go through that pain, so people who have good communication and people skills. You have lunch with them, you have a cup of coffee with them, and you leave feeling better than when you arrived. They listen, they care, they're good people, they come from the heart. They ask good questions, they're nice. They don't have to be salespeople or anything like that. There's nothing wrong with salespeople as long as you make sure that the salesperson understands network marketing, okay? Salespeople are great in this business. They can be huge, but they need to understand network marketing. Okay. But what I'm talking about here are just people who can have a conversation with you and you feel great about it when you leave. People who have credibility and influence with their peers. I mean, if most people in your life like you, know you, and trust you, it's very easy for you to introduce them to the business and have them take a look at you because they like you and they trust you. All right. And people who are industrious, they just get the job done. Some people, they run into a stumbling block, or they get, their friend says no thanks or whatever, and they're like, they just quit. You want people that if they run into a stumbling block, or they get a no, or whatever, they go over that hurdle, they go around it, they go under it. They just don't quit. Okay, they stick with it. Consistency is so key in this industry. All right, we call those people industrious people. Okay, so once you have those people, all right, and you tell them to what? Don't make a move without me. We send them a homework assignment, and we take all those people that they know in their life, and we narrow it down to the top 10 that has those particular criteria. Now, there are no perfect people. Not everybody is gonna check off all those boxes right there. It's just a model, but you want to come close to that, because those are the kinds of people that become successful in network marketing if they decide to get involved with you. Okay. So, and I break that homework assignment into 3 different areas. Okay. The first one are the easy ones, or the slam dunks. So, you know, whatever you want to call them. What do I mean by that? Well, like in my case, when I first got involved in the business, I went and I talked to my mom. I told her about what I was doing. Now, I knew that she wouldn't build a business. She just wasn't that sort of person. But I knew that she loved me and she wanted me to succeed. And we had some products that I thought she might like. And that's exactly what happened. You know, she bought a couple products. And then I said, Mom, you know, maybe you could introduce me to some of your friends, put a good word in for me and tell them a little bit about what I'm doing. And I instructed her what to tell them. And she said, sure. And she did. And I met those people, and one of those people introduced me to another one, introduced me to another one. Now, my mom, I knew going into this, wasn't going to get involved in the business and become a Don Failla or, you know, be a big business builder or something. I knew that going into it, but I knew she knew people that could do well. And my mom was one of those people that if you met her, you had to love her. So I knew all her friends thought very highly of her. And I just followed that vein of gold. And after going through about 6 or 7 different people, few of them became customers, a couple of them said thanks, but no thanks. I met an individual who ended up bringing 5,000 people in his organization in about a couple of years. And that one person in his organization, all right, ended up paying off my house, my car. I had a bunch of tax liability at the time. Okay. From my mom. It started from my mom. Okay. So the easy ones, the ones that love you, like, and care for you and want to help you, that's part of that homework assignment. I want to know who they are, because if you work with those people correctly, you know, I just told you my story, it can happen to you as well. The second part of the homework assignment is, you know, I want to know who the 2 of all the hundreds or thousands of people that you met in your life. Okay. Who are the 2 sharpest? Like, who do you think, if they decided to get involved in your business, that you know they would do well, because that's just what they do? And that leads me to my favorite question. Okay. If you were to bet $10,000 of your own money on any 2 people that you know would do great at this, $10,000 of your own money. Okay. Who would those 2 people be? And then, no matter what, I want to get to know those 2 people. I don't care if they get into the business or not. Well, I care. I would love for them to get into the business, but I mean, who's to say that the timing is right or whatever? I just want to get to know those 2 people, because I can guarantee you this: if I get to know them and we become friends and I stay in touch with them over a period of time, even if they don't get involved in the business now, okay, there's probably a 50% chance at some time, if I stay in touch with them appropriately and we become friends and they get to know me and like me and trust me, that I'll get at least 1 out of 2. I might get both of them. And remember what I said earlier, you only need, let's just say, 5 serious people like that to build anything you want in network marketing. So that's part of that homework assignment. William did that homework assignment. Okay. I have his people. All right. Just because William had a detour, I can guarantee you I will be staying in touch with some of those people that William put on that list. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a couple of minutes too, why that's so important. Even if the person who comes into your business does the homework assignment, even if they quit and they never come back, I'm going to show you why it's so important to stay in touch with those like 10 people that they put on their homework assignment. Okay. So they do the homework assignment. I have a whole bunch of questions so they come up with those 10 people. For each of those 10 people, there's probably about 15 questions that I have my new team member answer. By the way, if you don't have the homework assignment already, just let me know and I will send it to you so you can share it with your people. Okay. All right. So then, like, William did a fantastic job. Unbelievable job, by the way, like one of the best I've ever seen. He sent it to me. I read this. I went, wow. Okay. And then from there, though, like, I want to narrow it down even further. If there's 10 or 12 on that list, I want to get it down to the top 3. Okay. Because if you can't get 1 or 2 or 3, you're not going to get 10, right? You got to start somewhere. And those are his or her 10 best based on that selective criteria, track record and all that. You have these great group of people. But guess what? Here's what I want to know. Of those 10, who do you have the best relationship with? Combined with who do you think it's the right timing for? Because like the number 1 person on that list, all right, their mother might be dying of cancer or something, and their priorities are elsewhere, right? So although they might be the number 1 person on that list, it wouldn't be a good idea to talk to them right now because it's a timing issue, right? So then you go to the second person on that list. What's the relationship like? What's the timing? Well, maybe a couple, 3 weeks ago, although they would be great in this business, they started a brand new business, or maybe they're going through a divorce or something like that. And their mind is what? Elsewhere. Might not be a good job, because I don't want to get no's in the beginning. Who wants no's? I don't want to discourage my new person. I want to go to the people that are going to say yes. So you got to stack the deck in your favor by going through these things that we're talking about right here. So the second best person on the list might not be right. Maybe the third one is a similar situation. You might have to go down to the 5th or 6th or 7th person on that list, all right, where your relationship is good. And maybe, a month ago or a week ago or 3 months ago or whatever, you had a conversation with them or whatever, and you heard them say, you know what, I really need to be, doing something on the side. My wife or husband lost their job and we're not making as much money as we used to. I need to find something here to help out. I got some kids going to college or whatever. So that. So you got a relationship with them. The timing you think is right. We might start with that person right there. So of the 10, I want to narrow it down to the top 2, 3, or 4. Okay. All right. Now, let's just say that person knows 1,000 people in their life. We took all 1,000, we narrowed it down to the top 3. Okay. Is that like an important thing to do? Is this like, can you see where I'm going with this? Like, most people never do this stuff in network marketing. What they do is they sign up and then they talk to their brother-in-law or friend who they think they can kind of hoodwink and, persuade or convince to get into the business because they feel like they can, So that was like what I did. I went to my best friend and my brother-in-law. If I was like a 5 out of 10, I was probably like a 1 out of 10, but let's just say I was a 5 for this example. So I went to my friend who, I loved him to death, and I'm not demeaning him at all, but I mean, I thought I could convince him to get into the business because I thought that's what this was, sales. And I talked him into the business. He was probably a 4. I was a 5. He was probably a 4 in my mind. And then guess who he went to? He went to a 3, went to a 2, went to a 1. Everything just caved in. I didn't have a business. Okay. All right. When you're doing the homework assignment, all right, and you're narrowing it down to these right kinds of people, what you're actually doing is you're actually prospecting up. So if I would have done that in my case, I was a 5, I would have been going to a 6, right? Someone I have a relationship with, I have all this respect, they have all this, great characteristics and attributes behind them, track record, coachability, industrious, blah, blah, blah. Okay. And then what if I help that person get into the business and he does all these things, the homework assignment, we go to his, but then we're going up, we're probably going to be talking to a 7 and then talking to an 8 and a 9. You're actually prospecting up when you do it this way. You're building on purpose. Hardly anybody ever does that in network marketing. Most people get in and they pray that they make it. That's their strategy. All right. This is called building on purpose. Okay. So, but see, I don't stop there. It's like, okay, so those are the 3. How are we going to introduce the business to them? All right. And I'll use a standard example here. There's a lot of them I could use, but let's just say that one of those person's name was Mary, and maybe she wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. She was working maybe part-time. She'd rather be at home. She has 2 boys that are going to college in the next year or 2. She needs like maybe $3,000 to $5,000 a month to help them go to college. She's not a salesperson at all. She doesn't like the idea of convincing or persuading people to do things. She likes to have fun. She doesn't like to work on the weekends if she doesn't have to, because she likes to travel. They have a camper. She likes to go camping with her family. And that's Mary. You know that about Mary. Okay. Well, So if we're going to introduce Mary to the business, wouldn't it be smart if we like said something about like, hey, put something together based on what Mary wants and what she needs? Wouldn't it be smart to like introduce her in a way where she goes, wow, that might be able to take care of some of my problems here, right? Okay, so with those three people, I asked the person who did the homework assignment to put together a little approach, write it down. Well, how do you think it's best to approach Mary? Okay. And they might be able to figure it out themselves, or they might not. That's where being a sponsor comes in. I always want the person to try to do it themselves. Like if you're going to send them a message, go ahead and write that message down and then I want to read it. I might need to tweak it. Okay. But let's just say we work together and we come up with this message. Now, remember Mary, what she wanted and what she needed. What if we said something to Mary like, Mary, if you could see a way to generate $3,000 to $5,000 a month. Oh, and by the way, Mary only has 5 to 10 hours a week max that she could put into the business because she has the 2 kids going to college and maybe 3 younger kids. She's very busy. Okay. Okay. So Mary, if you could see a way to generate $3,000 to $5,000 a month in a little part-time venture, because I know your boys are going to college and you wanted to help them out, in a little part-time venture, working out of the home, picking your own hours, not working weekends if you didn't want to, because I know you like to camp and spend time with your family on the weekends. And it was fun and family oriented. And I would help you do it. Oh, and by the way, I know, you're not into sales and stuff like that. And there's no traditional sales involved with this, and I'd help you do it. Would you be open to checking out some brief information? Now, this is, of the 1,000 people that this person knows, we narrowed it down to 3 who they have a great relationship with and who they think the timing is right. And then we sent them a question by text, or maybe they, got together with them in person and said something. I always recommend texting because then you can't screw it up. You can get that thing down and you can send it to them, and you get it very precise. All right. What do you think the probability of Mary joining the business is if we do it that way? Anybody want to take a guess? This is based on 30 years of doing this now. You think it's 100%? Think 100% of those people get in? No. Think it's 25%? It's probably it's about 50%. I'd say about half of the people that we do it that way get in. So let's just say of those 10, we did talk to 4. You're likely to get 2 of those people to join your business. Okay. You only need 5 serious people, folks, right? And you got 2 of the best people that you ever met in your life in the business. All right. That's called building on purpose. All right. Now, what do you do with those people right there? Right. All right. If they get in your business, you go back to the beginning, what we talked about. Make sure that your new team member doesn't make a move without you. You work with your new team member in doing the same thing that I did with you, with your new team member. Don't talk to anybody, send them the homework assignment, have them do the homework assignment. Maybe they get 10 or 12 people in there. We narrow it down to the top 3, and then we develop a unique approach, a focused approach based on what we know that person wants and needs to see if they're open to taking a look at the business. And about 50% of those people will get into the business. That's about what you're looking at here, folks. Okay. And then, so that's really what I wanted to talk about today. What you do when you sign up the right person. You're very selective. All right. We got right to the heart of the matter. We don't want to let any room for error here, folks, because if you got about 2 weeks when you sponsor someone, a new team member, okay, results are the breakfast of champions. And these selective people that I'm talking about, track record, coachable, credibility, they tend to be a bit impatient. That's the nature of the beast that you're working with here. These people were winners. They get the job done. And if you don't help them get some points on the board and some wins in the win column fairly quickly, like maybe in 2 or 3 weeks at the most, you are walking on thin ice. They might lose confidence in you. Can you see why so many people in network marketing, they get involved? Maybe they're still salesy, they can talk someone into it, but they don't know what to do with them. And that person gets involved, and 2 weeks, a month, 2 months goes by, 3 months. The person that they sponsored is gone like a puff of smoke, because they're like, this doesn't work. I mean, you can't let your new person lose confidence in you. And if you're new, don't worry about it. Don't worry about that. That's what we're here for. Okay. And if you don't have a sponsor who knows what they're doing, go upline in your organization until you find someone who knows what they're doing. And if you can't find anybody that knows what they're doing, going upline, because you remember, you're using Don's system here. I mean, without question, there's nothing even comes close to Don's system. It's the right way. It's like, I mean, it's the desire. I mean, we know what we have here is the right way to do the business. Most people do not. Even some people who are fairly successful in network marketing, if they don't understand this stuff, all right, it's going to be tough working with them. So you want to check and see if there's anybody in your upline that does understand this stuff. If not, get them on these Zoom calls so that they do. And if they don't, if you can't find anybody that understands this stuff or wants to learn this stuff, then if you want to stay in that company, you have to learn it yourself. Just get in touch with us and we can help you there. Okay. Obviously, we can't spend a lot of time doing 3-way calls with you and all that stuff, but we can give you some guidance along the way. And there are some companies out there where, like, it's going to be tough if you don't have people who are going to help you. Network marketing is a business about people helping people, and it's really important to have someone on your team that knows what they're doing. And that's what we're here for. Okay. So let me see if there's anything else I want to tell you here. Page 3, that's important. Yeah. The last thing I want to talk to you about is a little bit more about that list of 10. Like when William sent me his 10 people, and he wrote out, he and some of these people, he wrote 2, 3, 4 paragraphs telling me all about them. All right. Because now what's the importance of that? Well, I want to make sure they're the right kinds of people. So William was telling me, right? He was writing it all down. But then if I ever talk to that person, which is a likelihood that I will, right? These are William's top 10 people out of 1,000 people, at least, that he knows, right? I'm probably going to be in contact with them. I want to know their background. I want to know who I'm talking with here. I want to be able to make a connection. I want them to know, if I ever talk to them, that William took the time to write, to tell me about them. All right. Their wants, their desires, their life. Now, you got to be appropriate with this. You don't want to be silly about it. Like, there's certain things that William might have said that I would never bring up to that particular person. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's just common sense, right? All right. But when I connect with that person, whether it be on a 3-way call after they join the business, or maybe they've gone through the system and we do a 3-way call prior to them potentially joining the business, I want them to know that William thinks the world of them and really cares for them. And that's why he was introducing the business to them. And that's why he is introducing them to me. I want to build that rapport. I want to make that, because this is a relationship business, folks. I mean, who can't do this, do that, and send them to the company website and understand the right people to select and send someone a homework assignment? I mean, this is all mechanical stuff. This is all easy stuff. All right. But guess what? And who can't work depth? Depth is what you're going to learn in the next seminar. Is so simple. It's just doing the same thing I'm teaching you right now, but on your 3rd or 4th or 5th or 10th level. That's all. And there's a great reason to do that, which we'll talk about the next time. But my point is, anybody can do these half dozen things are very, very simple to do. They're simple not to do, but they're very simple to do. But guess what the most important thing of all that is? All right. Those 6 things are critically important. All right. But the number one thing is the relationship. William's relationship to the people he put on that list, and my potential relationship to those people that William put on those lists. Because if people don't know you, like you, and trust you, you can be marketing manna from heaven in your organization. Okay? You can have the best distributors. Excuse me one second.
This is a reminder. Three-way call, three-way call, three-way call.
Alexa, stop. Pardon me. If people don't know you, like you, and trust you, all right, the probability of doing business with you is very slim. All right. It's about the relationship. So here's the last thing that I want to say, because it's so incredibly important. And when you get what I'm going to say right here, you shouldn't be able to sleep the next couple of nights. Okay. Because what it means to you is that you cannot fail in this business. All right. If you understand this. Okay. As long as you stick with it, you got those those half dozen things, right? You're doing them all the time. You're checking off those boxes as you're out there sponsoring and, and prospecting for your business. All right. You get that homework assignment, this great homework assignment that William, he must have spent hours on this thing, by the way. It was unbelievable, like what he sent me. Okay. If William's here today, he's obviously coming back into the fold, but let's just pretend, okay, that William wasn't coming back today. It's still the timing wasn't right. Or maybe for whatever reason, he decided, hey, maybe he lost confidence in me in the beginning. Maybe I wasn't that good in the beginning. We didn't bring a few people in. He got discouraged and he left. It can happen, right? All right. Most of the time it doesn't happen because I pretty much know what I'm doing, but not everybody's working with people to know what they're doing. That can happen, right? So you lose that person, but you got that homework assignment of their best people. What you want to do in the appropriate way, all right? And I'm going to leave that up to you. You don't want to bug these. I mean, you don't even really know most of these people. You might have met a few of them before that person quit, right? But you want to figure out a way to let's just take the 3 or 4 of them of the 10 that maybe we talked to 3 or 4 of them. Those 3 or 4, I am going, whether William's here or not, and hopefully he is, right? And he is, all right? But whether he's here or not, I can guarantee you, I'm going to stay in touch with those people in the appropriate way. One of the questions I ask on the homework assignment is, what are they, do they have children? There's a bunch of things in there where, like, over a period of time, maybe their birthday, all right, those kinds of things. So William's best friend's birthday is next month, and William is still not back in the fold in this pretend explanation here, okay? Am I going to send that person a happy birthday wish? You betcha, all right? And I'm going to make sure that they didn't forget me. Hey, I don't know if you remember me or not, but like 5 months ago, William introduced me to you. We did a little 3-way phone call or a Zoom or whatever you did. And I remembered that it was your birthday. I remember William telling me that he wrote it down. And I just wanted to wish you a happy birthday. All right. Maybe I'm a Facebook friend with them, from when I originally met them. And I see that their son just graduated from college, and they posted a couple pictures of the son who graduated from college. Okay. I might send them a little Facebook post, hey, that's so awesome. You got to be so proud of your boy, graduating from. I'm building that relationship all along. Okay. Why? Because it's a relationship business, and they're the right kinds of people that I want into my business. William told me so. All right. 6 months ago. All right. And if I stay in touch with them appropriately, and they get to know me, they learn to trust me, they get to like me. Let's just say there's 4 of those 10 people, and let's just pretend we didn't get any of them in. Okay. I can almost guarantee you, and this is from 30 years, well, probably 25 years of actually doing this the right way. I can almost guarantee you that of those 4 people, I'm going to end up sponsoring 2 of them. Now, let's think about that for a second. Who are these people? These are William's best of the best. So who do these people, people tend to run around with people just like them, right? And I know how William is and how thoughtful he is and how caring he is, all right? And all those different things about William. So I know these people are great people, all right? All right. And guess who these people probably run around with? People just like them, who are people just like William in this example. You can't lose. You cannot lose. All right. It's a slam dunk. You're going to be successful if you do these things, because you only need about 5 serious people to build anything you want. So I stay in touch with them. All right. I end up sponsoring those two. Now, what do? What if William isn't back in the fold yet? And I'm talking to his friends. All right. And maybe one of them they're ready to join. They're ready to get started. What am I going to do with William? Am I just going to let William go and not let him know about what I'm doing in the background? No way. I'm going to give William a call and say, hey, William, by the way, Mary, who one of your best, yeah, well, here's what I did. And based on the timing and everything like that, Mary's ready to get started. I just wanted to let you know, in case you want to, the timing is good for you to get back involved, because I think Mary is going to be great in this business. And, I think we could really build something really special here together. What's the timing look like? Do you think William's going to be thinking, wow, Mary got into this business and she's ready to go? And he chose Mary as one of his top people in the entire world to introduce the business to. Now, if the timing isn't right for William, he probably still won't get involved. But if it's right, he might say to me, you know what? I think it's time for me to get back involved here. All right. So your job as a sponsor, even with the people that's the importance of this homework assignment. It's not just up front and getting those people in. Maybe you don't get any of those 10 in. Usually you will, but what if you don't? That doesn't mean all is lost. Okay. You stay in touch with the sharpest ones in the appropriate way. I guarantee you, if you do that, you're going to be successful in network marketing. You can't help it. It's impossible not to be. So remember the checklist. Let's just do a little summary here and we'll wrap it up. All right. The 6 most important, the half dozen things, all right, that make 95% of all the difference. The first 3 are what? In the definition of the system. They got to have desire. They got to understand the business, what they're getting into. And then obviously they have to see your vehicle. If they come in, all right, we got to select the right people. All right. Warm, open, easy to talk to, good track record, good communication, people skills. All right. Coachability, credibility and influence with their peers, people who are industrious, got those good people. Okay. Then we want to get them started effectively. How do we do that? Don't talk to anybody. Okay. Promise me. Okay. I promise. Send them a homework assignment. They put down their top 5 or 10 or 15, whatever. Then we narrow it down to maybe 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 of those people, depending upon the person. It's always a little bit different, right? All right. And then we get together. I go, William, come up with an approach that you think would stimulate Mary's imagination to take a look at our business. And William goes to work. He gets thinking, because you don't want to do this for people, right? You want to help them. But I always ask them to try to do it first themselves. So he comes up with this little message for Mary. We take a look at it. Maybe I help him tweak it a little bit, right? And he sends it out to Mary. Let's just say Mary signs up. Then we repeat the process with Mary, okay? All right, we have her do the same thing. And then in the next seminar, we'll talk about, so now here's me, and here's William, and here's Mary, how we start working with Mary. Well, you already know how we start working with her, but then as soon as she signs up her friend Joan, how me and William and Mary work with Joan. And we keep on driving that leg until it's 3, 4, 5 levels deep in quality people. Okay. And folks, when you build on purpose that way, using Don's system, they came in the right way, the right people, you're working in depth, napkin presentation number 9, all these things are coming together. You can't lose. It's impossible to fail. So why would you ever quit? If you're teaching your people this stuff as you bring them in, okay, you're planting these seeds. Some of them are going to go to work. Some of them aren't. Some of them are going to be like in the middle, doing a little bit here or there. They're going to be all over the place. You keep on doing that until you find 5 serious people who are coachable, who treat this like a business, who aren't going to quit, and you write your ticket in network marketing.